up, everybody? This is your girl Z, and welcome to Ship, the relationship show, where we chronicle the difficult and hidden world of true-to-life relationships. Well, what's up, squad?
Hey.
How you doing? Dr. Collins, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ready to get into it.
You ready? All right, Pastor Rick.
I'm ready to argue. I'm ready to learn how to argue. So I win every time. Let's go.
Right, we want to learn.
I want to know how to argue right so I can win
We're
every time.
not going to stub Pastor Rick.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Janine, I know. It's going to be us against them.
Always. And I'm ready for it. Let's get it.
Oh my gosh. As you can tell, our subject for tonight is the art of arguing, how to argue healthy and loving and all that good stuff. So before we get into that, guys, remember, like, subscribe, and share our channel. And also send in your letters. Send in your letters to Betterflies Entertainment at gmail.com. Let me go ahead and put that up for you so you can see if I can grab it, so you can see where to go. Betterflies, BETTERFLIES Entertainment at gmail.com. So we're gonna have it up on the screen for you, and we're gonna get started with the message in a bottle. Hit it, Pastor.
Message in a bottle, baby.
Yeah. Is that how you do it? Yeah.
That never gets old. That does not get old.
Okay. So Betterflies Entertainment at Gmail. Here we go.
Ooh, let's get it.
Let's go.
Okay. Hello, Ship Squad. My 30-year-old fiance, and I guess I'm 28, I guess, and I have been together for 3.5 years. We have broken up a few times in between and gotten back together. The last time we broke up, my fiance ended up dating another woman, and they're still in contact on a friendly, occasional basis. My concern is that I got engaged to my fiance a few months ago, and when we did break up the last time, he moved on to date the other woman after only a month of our breakup. I have struggled in my relationship with my fiance because I felt inadequate at times and how unaffectionate he is with me. But we do have a good comfort zone and friendship. I also give him the benefit of the doubt because he has depression. So that may attribute to why he is not so romantic with me. I'm concerned about my fiance keeping messages and contact with his ex-girlfriend because although they only dated for 6 months, the messages he sent to her were a lot more romantic in nature, and they had discussed marriage and children. My fiance's ex is also the first woman he told his family about. In almost 4 years of us dating, they didn't even know about me till we got engaged. But they knew about this other woman after a month of them dating. Oh, it's funny. As we begin a new chapter in our lives, I would rather we put our past to rest and then let it be history. But my fiance refuses to delete any messages from his ex. He has all the photos of her and also keeps all the love letters they've sent to each other. When I ask him about this, he says we can talk about how I feel, but that was a stage of life that he cherishes. Do I need to keep going?
Yeah.
My fiance hoards,
There can't be more.
if it helps, my fiance hoards messages from years ago of other people too. So maybe it's just that. I also don't like that my fiance is in touch with his ex, even though they don't speak regularly. After their breakup, his ex removed him from social media, and yesterday I saw that he sent her a friend request. I am unsure if this is normal, if things ended on good terms, or if I'm being micro cheated on. Any advice is appreciated.
Why does this sound like a letter we already talked about?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
We didn't talk about this one.
Okay.
We didn't sound similar, but we didn't talk about this.
No, I
one.
mean it's a similar. We're saying it's similar.
Very
situation.
similar.
Yeah.
So
You
maybe
know, I'm saying it's the same lady in another relationship.
This one here, boy.
Okay, Rick, I'm gonna start with you, Pastor Rick.
No, it's fine. There's something that we try to practice in counseling, is that we want to make sure that going into this marriage, even serious relationship, you got to cut all ties with your exes. I don't care how wonderful they are. I don't care how they treated you. keeping in contact with them. If you had a romantic relationship with them, and of course you can say, well, that's immature. No, you need to work on your relationship with the person you're with. Then if you both decide to bring them in or bring other pretty much your exes or ex-husbands or whatever in, then you make that decision together. And there has to be a point where limited talking. When we hang out, we all hang out. We're not going to pretty much have the DMs and the silence, or what is it, the private conversations rather. That can't happen. And he's setting himself up for failure in this relationship. No doubt about it.
Okay, I want to hear from everybody. Then I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Okay, Janine.
I think it's clear that he's saying that he doesn't feel the same way about her that she feels about him. And it's clear that she's not the only one in the picture because he's holding on to the past one. And maybe he had this special connection with her that he doesn't have with his fiance. This is her wake-up call. I don't think she needs to expend a lot of energy and time trying to figure out what can I do and what about this and what about that. With his actions, he's showing you who he really loves and what he really prefers. That whole thing about she's the first one that he took home to his family, even though they had been together for years.
No.
How about I would write the letter talking about my ex-fiance?
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not on the same page. And why do you, before you even get to the altar, you want to deal with all this kind of stuff? It's not going to get any better. And you know what? When you're married, she'll still be in the mix if you continue down this road, because obviously he has a connection to her that he's not willing to let go of. And she may be his plan B.
Yeah. And not only that, there's some people who believe that when you bring them to the altar, that they're altered. And it doesn't work that way at all. It never works that way.
That's good.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting unfolding. I hope to hear from him soon.
Problem with this letter is that he does love his fiance. The problem is the writer has the fiancés mixed up. She's the one he loves.
Right.
You're the one he's with.
Right. He's
Why
tolerating her.
He's with you because she broke it off with him.
Yeah.
You're convenient.
Yep.
She's the prize.
Yep.
But here is the problem where you really made a mistake. You've created a dilemma that you want nothing to do with. But you got to blame yourself for creating this dilemma. You're telling me it's nothing new for him to be holding on to past situations and conversations and messages and pictures and da 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 da. Well, his leverage in his argument is that what he's doing with this ex is the same thing he did with all the other ones for 4 years. So that's why she's lost her leverage.
Yeah.
She's created a tolerance for something you don't want. And all this happens all the time.
Right.
You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. What you tolerate. And I'm sorry for you, but the only way for you to even have a shot of any different treatment, and I don't think it's going to work in your favor, you're probably going to do you're probably going to follow Janine's formula of how to lose 250 pounds. Right. That's probably what's going to happen. But now you have to create a standard of what you will and won't accept. And because you've accepted it so long, he's probably not going to capitulate to your new standard. He's probably going to move on. But if you don't like what you're dealing with, only you can change that.
How about this? An engagement doesn't fix problems in a relationship, nor does a baby.
True.
it makes it
True.
worse. The baby really makes it worse. I don't
I think-
understand why folks get engaged. Why give her a ring? What, to shut her up?
Because
this is
she's
the
the
pattern.
one. See, let me give it to you from a man's perspective. What he knows about this woman, let me tell you in his mind. What he knows about this woman,
Wait a minute. I need to.
he knows he can count on her to be there.
Yeah.
She's reliable. She's dependable.
Yep.
She's not going anywhere.
Why
Let
do
me
her-
go ahead and give her what she wanted for 4 years to keep her at bay. But I'm still knocking on this door, seeing if there's any hopes.
Yeah.
But just in case they're not, I'm not left high and dry.
Yeah, I think she didn't challenge him from the very beginning, and this is what I tell a lot of young ladies, even when they're courting in a relationship. There are times men don't like putting away their toys because it's convenient for them to continue to have their toys because it makes them feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I don't know, men do this. They're territorial. They don't want anybody they don't want to be with you, but they don't want you to be with anybody else either. And that's a sign of immaturity.
Yeah,
So they
big
don't wanna
sign.
put
Big sign.
their
Can see
toys.
it from the freeway. Big
Pass
sign.
me the torch.
Yeah.
Pass me the torch.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a pet peeve guy. Janine, I'm not going to mention any names, but you know what I'm talking about with this last guy that the one that vet inboxed me and said, okay. So here's the issue with men. It's very seldom that a man will let go of one relationship.
Listen, clarity with this man, not men.
I'm talking about Janine.
We can
You
pretend
think you're
that that
holding
they're isolated incidents. Sure, let's
Oh
pretend.
yeah, you gotta. For the most part, what should happen healthy is that when you break up, you should give yourself some time. Give yourself some time. Sit back, figure out whatever the issue is, whatever it is. If it's divorce, if it's a breakup, whatever it is. What you find is people then move on. Men typically are holding on back here, and then they're holding on to her. And let me go over here and see what this one is about. And let me go over here and see what that one
Women
is.
do the same thing, Z.
Not
Women
for the
do it.
most part. No, we do not. No, we do not.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump. No, we do not.
You know what that
No, no,
sounds
no.
like?
No.
You know what?
The majority of us don't.
It sounds like when they say the best time to look for a job is when you have one.
Yeah.
But it creates problems, and I guess
That's what it sounds like.
me because what I've had, and it brings me a little bit of anxiety that I Pastor, I'll probably be sitting in your office talking about it in addition to my therapist. But seriously, it brings me a lot of anxiety is when I'm serious with these crazy chicks. I'm tired of people thinking I want a man, or if I'm let's say if I'm dating John and John is dating in a situation that Janine knows about. This dude, well, I'm thinking about what she wants to marry me. Okay, y'all need to handle all of that then. Well, I don't want to marry. Well, why are you over here talking to me?
He just told you because he don't want to marry her. He just told you.
But why would I date someone like that? Why would I date?
Sounds like entanglements.
Yeah. He answered you. Like, I don't understand. You asked him a question, he answered it.
He didn't say what you just
What
said.
did Jada Pinkett say? I don't
He
remember
just
the term.
said that because I started asking the questions that Pastor was saying, gathering data. And so he was dating, it's this one chick he had been with for years. And I won't put too much, you know what I'm talking about. And so trying to change a little bit of this. So he was dating this chick for years, and she wants to be married.
He's gonna pop up in the chat.
On and off. And I'm like, if you've been with him that long and he hasn't married you, but I'm not gonna say that because then it sounds like I'm trying to. But I'm like, dude, you clearly don't want to get married, and she can't figure that out. But his thing was, I don't want to, but we should hang out. We should do. I'm like, but you got that situation going. What my anxiety comes up is that I end up getting the phone call from the chick, or they come find and looking for Zandra, and he actually brought me around this chick. I didn't know it though. I didn't know it till later. I don't know why y'all do that. Why do y'all do that?
I ain't brought you around her.
You know what?
Oh,
You know what? I think, excuse me, pastors, for a moment. Sandra, I think that instead of women like marching on Washington and gathering downtown LA, we need to steal away and we need to have a little one-on-one time with each other. And we need to come up with some rules of engagement, right? Because we actually do have the power.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when we're sending in these crazy letters, it's because we have forgotten the power that we have. It's all about the cookie.
Mhm.
If we could come together and make some decisions about the cookies, right?
Yes.
We could whip these folks into tip-top shape.
Denise?
I'm going off on a tangent, but
Go ahead.
I can't tell you how many times there have been, and this is a true story. There was a guy who had a baby by this woman, a baby by that woman, and was also married with kids, living at home with the wife. The two baby mamas was outside of his house and they tried to stab each other. And I'm like, at no point did anyone say we need to stab him. I mean, we need to come together.
It's
Yeah.
called
If you're gonna do time, stab the right person.
Oh my God.
It's him. Ladies, come on now.
I don't
Let's
get
just
it,
go
Janine.
off
I
talking
promise
Why
about
you.
did you even put it on
I
the
own
table?
everything breathing. I own everything breathing.
gotta-
When you say unicorn, that's why I'm a unicorn. I'm not worried about that chick. I'm worried about you. I don't get why women go to the other woman. Why do y'all?
Ladies.
Why do y'all go to
Ladies.
the other woman? It is him.
Oh, then we can
Please.
log off. Evidently, they're going to talk to each
Do
other.
you want me to tell you why she goes to the other woman?
Him.
She goes to the other woman
Oh, that's the stupidest
She
thing in the world.
because she knows who he is.
Well, it's not gonna change it. Past
No, you're right. It's not going to change. So she's put her attention on scaring everybody else away.
Yeah.
Because he's
Right.
going to
Okay.
be, which is
Ladies,
totally
listen.
dumb. I'm definitely not justifying. I'm explaining, not justifying. But that's why.
There's a
Hold on,
website
Janine, hold
called
on.
Don't
just
Date
beat
Him
up.
or something like that. Ladies, sign up. Post some pictures. We need to work together. We need to call
don't get
these
it.
folks out. Their pictures need to be up at the post
Somebody's
office.
going to have a coalition going.
Like the other folks, we need to know who these brothers are. We need to talk. We need to stop coming after each other. We need to hold the brethren, the coloring accountable.
Keep your cookies in a jar coalition. Got
That's
it.
what I'm saying. And you want to have these problems if you want
got
to keep
it.
them around. That's the
Keep
truth.
them in a jar coalition.
That's-
No
Hold on,
cookie for
Let me
you.
ask you this. No,
No
Janine,
cookie for
listen,
you.
very rarely
No
do we
cookie
agree
for
on
you.
something.
Uh,
I
Give me
agree
my
100%.
cookies back.
If
We
women,
need to
Take
take
back
back
what
the
you gave it
cookies.
to him.
Take
sorry,
back
y'all
the
so
Take
take,
back what you gave him.
Hey,
the
Rick,
cookies.
it's Chirac up in here, brother. It's Chirac.
take the cookies back.
Jesus, I'm just saying.
Take the
No,
cookies
I'm
back.
serious.
I'm just saying, I agree with you 100% when it comes down to the whole women holding on to their cookies. Because men ask for marriage. Women can hold or give the sex. You have more power than what the sister said it. You have more power than what you think. I tell this to young women all the time. You don't want to be the miss pass me around, because soon you will be miss pass me by. They're not going to marry.
Come on now. That's a t-shirt.
That is the
They're
truth.
not, they're
That's the
not
truth.
going to marry you
That's
because your body count is too high, daughter.
Yep.
Mm.
And
But
it's a
people are
double
mad about how
standard.
many people.
Don't waste your
Okay,
breath
let me-
talking about, well, men can do this and it's okay for them to do this.
No,
You'll be
You were
ashes
built
to
for that.
ashes, dust to dust before that
you were
ever
not built for that.
even
Let me
out.
ask you a question, gentlemen. So guys know I'm celibate. So the problem that I've been running into is with intimacy. I'm being real with myself. I know certain things I just can't do. I'm just being honest. It's like eating one potato chip. You're gonna just end up, So what I've done is to protect myself, I've just put up boundaries. So the problem is that my boundaries are too wide. So my thing is, okay, if I don't want any type of touching or intimacy, that's what's I think been the issue with me. How then do I get around that, if I can even get around that?
You saying in a relationship or like
In a
dating
relationship,
someone else?
So I'm dating a guy. He wants to. Let's say he wants to kiss, and maybe kissing will,
Well, it depends on what kind of kiss. A peck? Are we talking tongue? We
Tongue,
talk like
I mean,
you gotta.
of course,
Yeah.
tongue kissing, not just a peck on the lips, but a tongue kiss.
This
And then
is
them,
one
and then
of
them
the
20-minute hugs. Y'all, come on now.
These are the questions. A lot of people have these questions.
They
A
have you
lot of
petty.
people have these questions of how far are you allowed to go if you're dating and trying to maintain celibacy? And the problem with that, that's a different answer for a different person because you have to know you.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
right.
know at what point your warning signs going out. You know when you at the point where you weaker than water.
Yeah.
You know when you done got to the point where you so stirred up, that's you know you've gone too far. Now for somebody else, that might be a different stage.
Right.
I agree. So my question is, because I've had this with women, and then we can move on to the art of arguing, is that when we put up these boundaries, and if there's no, like the Mormons where you can't do anything, you remember like before the Papa we sitting on the porch and he couldn't come anywhere near, like that kind of thing. People like, that's old fashioned, you can't do that anymore. But I will explain.
You can.
Yeah, do
You know-
y'all know any brothers where he
No,
send him my way? I'll be
It comes down to when you have that open communication, right? And you say, these are my boundaries because when it's the right person, even if they're not on that page, their relationship with you, their respect for you will allow them to sacrifice and walk with you through that if they're supposed to be there. If they can't get with it, that's a big sign.
Now
They're
let me play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Because the ordinary person is gonna test your boundary. Like they're gonna test it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take your stand. I'm saying the ordinary person.
I hear you.
They're gonna test it. Now, if they're a respectful person, when you stand by it, they'll start respecting it.
Well,
But
if he's
just
the
because
right one,
the conversation
won't-
alone,
Pastor, if he's the right one, how come he then won't stand?
What do you
That
mean?
means he's not the right one.
Meaning, if I'm in a weak spot and I say, and I can't stop myself, he should be able to stop.
No,
I know that's, or no.
you
Okay.
shouldn't.
Let's move on then.
yeah.
No, I mean-
Wait a minute, because you said you came into the relationship with these standards. He didn't come in with these standards.
Right.
You can't hold him to what wasn't his standard. Now, if his standard is that,
Right.
and he's on the same celibacy trip that you're on, then maybe he had that more responsibilities. But I'm just saying the ordinary person, you can't
I
ask
shouldn't be
him.
dating anybody that's not on the same tip when it comes to that, correct? That will let you know it's not an equal
Okay, right. But you got to understand this too. Some people may have needed that help because you do have a brother out here. There's a brother out here right now that's saying, "Man, I don't want to do it." He already got a conviction. I don't want to do this, man. I'm falling. I'm slipping. I'm falling. I can't get up. He already got a conviction.
Yeah.
And he's like, but these women he been with, they've been pushing the issue and he been falling. I'm not letting him off the hook. I'm just giving you an example. But then he meets somebody like you. Wow. You know, this is what I needed.
Yep.
This is what, see, maybe he needed that help. I don't want to say the word needed, but he could definitely use that help to help him maintain to the conviction he's been having.
Right, because he can relate to the situation. He can relate to it. You know, when my wife and I were courting, it was no holding hands. Then we went to holding hands. Okay. We won't see each other after 8:00. Well, we started seeing each other after 8:00. Okay. I'm not coming to your house after 10:00. Every line was crossed. Conviction, and Pastor Jose, you're going to have to help me here. At the altar, every Sunday. We won't do it again. And you find yourself that
You're going to need somebody else to help you. When you find them, let them help me too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because
guilty.
Yeah, because it was one of those things that both of you have to make up in your mind.
Right.
These are the standards. This is what we're going to hold by. Like it, dislike it, whatever. this is what we have to do, because you want that. And of course, we're talking about the Lord.
Right.
Of course, other people keep their virginity for whatever reason, or keep themselves for whatever reason. My point is, there has to be a standard that both of you come up with the plan. Accountability. Don't go out by yourself. Don't hang out by yourself. There's no reason for me to pretty much text you after this time. You know, keep the conversation clean. Keep it holy. Y'all can talk all the dirty stuff after you get married, whatever that looks like. But there has to be a standard somewhere between the both of you.
And that's what I was saying, Zandria, when you was like, you know, the days when you had your grandfather on the porch, that don't exist anymore. The reason I say it can is because if you make a conscious effort to I can control what our dating looks like. Like I can make sure that we're not in the place where that is possible, that we're not hanging out in situations where it's a potential probability to yield to the temptation. I can make sure I'm not at your house alone, Netflix and chill. I can make sure we're not parked in our car on a cliff overlooking the lights 12:30 at night. I can those are things I can control to help with the situation.
Hey, I want to add.
I love it on the cliff.
Back in our day,
Literally and figuratively on a cliff.
Expiration point.
by the way,
Expiration point.
back in my day,
Lover's Lane.
it wasn't Netflix and chill. It was Blockbuster. Not
Blockbuster.
Boots. Thank you very much.
For
Thank you very
Why
much.
am I giggling? I was in Blockbuster season 2.
real.
That's what you got your movie.
We all had that blue card. Come on. We all
Yeah.
We all still got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, wow.
hey. I did worse than that. My
Right,
sister-in-law started working at Blockbuster. I had Blockbuster in my house. I had so many doggone movies.
Mr. Collins, you got to return these movies. No, I don't.
Okay. All right, guys. So now the arguing. So how many of you would say, hopefully we answered the young lady's letter. So everybody is saying dump them.
Yeah.
Make your standard known.
Yeah.
And don't readjust it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Translation, dump them.
Dump them. Okay. So how many of you will say that you're a good arguer? You best arguer. Okay. We're
If
gonna get you on our
if I didn't become a pastor, I would have been a lawyer. I'm not.
I'm not good at all. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the art of arguing. Do we want to start off with the tips, or do you guys want to kind of give us a segue in to Janine's tips?
What if
people say they don't argue, they're lying. Period.
we can jump into the tips, I think, because that will spark
some of the conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Again, send your letters in at Butterflies Entertainment at gmail.com. All right, guys.
You ready?
Number one.
Okay. So tips for healthy arguing. Listen carefully and take turns talking. Zandria, a heavy sigh already? This is the first one.
Because Zandria doesn't listen.
Are you serious?
I gotta listen.
And doesn't give a person the turn.
Zandria.
Simple.
Help me, sister. Help me.
I'm here to learn. I admit I have issues in this area, so I am here to learn from the experts on this panel.
I'll say this. There is a distinctive difference between listening and waiting on your turn to talk.
Yes.
So if you really listen, if you just waiting on your turn, are you done? No. Are you done? So you're done, right? Okay. All right. I'll let you say everything. Can I interrupt you? No, they ain't heard nothing you just said. They were listening for rebuttal points.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The art of arguing, is about literally learning learning from the other person and literally not winning. It's about learning and understanding how the person feels. Because before, me and Miss Arce would argue, and understand that she's an English teacher. She can break down words, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know what you just said, but let me tell you what I feel. Pick up a thesaurus and a lexicon and a dictionary to find out what she's telling me. But in all sincerity, it's just one of the key things I had to learn to listen.
Yeah.
That's one of the key parts of arguing, learning to listen and not trying to win the argument. Because to say what is it? All is not fair in love and war.
Yeah.
All is fair.
What is
love is fair?
All is fair in love and war.
Got it.
But you mentioned about not winning, and I do understand that. But what if the person, and I guess we'll get down through the tips, if you're just wrong?
So
That's
a hard pill to swallow. And I think oftentimes as women, we really deal with being right, being wrong, being heard, being seen, and that gets stuck on our craw, as we say. But you can, if you're stuck on winning, you will win the fight and lose your relationship.
Right, lose the war.
Right?
Yep.
You will lose it. Something that ties into this whole concept of healthy arguing. Before Gary and I got married, we talked about arguing and we made some decisions. And this is one of the tips later, but we set up boundaries of things that are not allowed.
There you go.
Right? We weren't in the midst of an argument. Yeah. It was, I never heard my parents cuss each other out.
Right.
Ever. Said, we won't use that when fighting. That's just
you had a good childhood.
Right. Right. And they had their problems, but we're not doing that because there's certain words, and when you put them together in a certain sequence, you can't even hear the other stuff. No. You are just on
because
fire.
They're triggered,
right?
Because they're triggered.
We don't slam stuff. We don't throw stuff.
Yeah.
We can't throw
none of that hitting below the belt.
No.
We don't talk about mothers and fathers.
Talk about your mama.
And we don't. We set up those boundaries because we know that those are triggers.
Yeah.
And if you bring that other stuff into it,
boundary.
we will never come back to what the issue was.
Right. And saying that, Janine, one of the key things we set up early in our marriage was we don't talk about the D word ever.
Right.
Right.
The D word is never.
Very important.
It's the biggest curse word.
It's the biggest curse word.
Yeah.
Because
same way.
And ladies, just FYI and sidebar, but very important. When a man stops arguing with you, it's one of the worst things that can happen in your relationship. Because a silent man means that he is left not just spiritually
done,
and you better be careful he doesn't leave physically.
Yeah.
Because everything else is off the door when he stops arguing.
Sandra, put your nukes down.
Yes, sir.
To Zan, you deal with your question on what if I'm right, and Rick, excellent point. Arguing to learn, not to win.
Yeah.
Here is where the problem comes with if I'm right. Most arguments are not even about right or wrong.
Yes,
we
sir.
think they're right versus wrong, but oftentimes they're just differences. Let me give you an example. If we're sitting at the table, let's take all four of us. If we were sitting at a square dining room table, we're all sitting on different ends. I'm sitting on the north, you're sitting on the south, you're sitting on the east, you're sitting on the west. And I tell you to draw this room, but you can't move your head.
Oh, yeah.
All four of our pictures will look differently.
Absolutely.
Now, here's where the problem comes. Because you knew what you drew was correct. You know what you saw. You know you're not crazy. The fact that my picture looks different from yours, you assume mine must be wrong.
Right.
because yours is right.
Mhm.
And this is where a lot of arguments come about.
Yeah.
You don't have the point of view that your significant other one has because you're not sitting on the side of the room they're sitting on. What do I mean by sitting on the side of the room?
Mhm.
You weren't
Yeah.
raised like them. You didn't grow up in the home that they grew up in. You don't have their background. You don't have their experiences because we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So I'm looking at it from my experiences, my upbringing, my past, and yours is totally different. So you're seeing something that I don't see. The only way you can see what I see, you've got to come and sit where I'm sitting.
You've got to listen carefully.
Listen, because listening is you seeing what from my side of the table. Now, let me give a quick tip I learned from Stephen Covey. Very powerful. I use it all the time. He says, as we talk about conflict resolution, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
I love it.
See, most of us in an argument, you're seeking only to be understood because you believe if they will understand what you're saying, they can't help but to agree.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're trying to get you to understand them too.
Right.
So no one's really trying to understand. Everyone's trying to be understood. And here's the close of that. Once you really listen, and I don't have to agree with your position to take time to understand your position. Once I really listen and I understand why you feel the way you feel, I'm really listening, not waiting on my turn to talk, but I put my gloves off.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna be like, wow, okay, you know what? When you explain it like that, I see how that could have made you feel that way.
Sure.
So I apologize for that. However, what I was trying to say was, and they're all ears because they don't have another bullet to shoot at you.
Yep.
Their point has been made. Now they can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. Gary and I went to counseling to learn how to communicate better. And one of the issues that came up during that time was I would be enraged when there was no toilet paper left on the roll. I'm talking burn the city down. Enraged, okay? Now, when we unpacked it, and the counselor helped us do that, when we unpacked it, obviously it was not about the toilet paper.
Exactly.
For me, it was about you not looking out for me. You know, everything I do in there, I have to sit down. Half of what you do standing. Toilet paper doesn't matter, right? So I'm looking at what I do for you. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm washing clothes, I'm making sure Sunday night that you got at least a week's worth of underwear. You got your, I'm doing all these things, right?
Yeah.
And you're living like a bachelor. How hard is it to look out for me and make sure there's toilet paper on there? So it wasn't about the toilet paper, it was a bigger issue. Now, Gary was clueless. For him, it was just, he forgot to do the toilet paper.
Right.
In the communication, he learned that it was tied to something bigger.
Exactly. Always is.
There's always been, yeah.
That is so good. That is good.
Okay, I think we need another tip. We need another tip.
Wow, that was one tip.
Sandra, did you learn anything?
I actually passed just listening to y'all real quick, dealing with my dad, just how bad I guess off I was. Learning because Pastor, you hit it where I was like, how do you not see this? But he has dementia, right? So I'm trying to explain something to him. Before I knew he had dementia. I'm like, how do you not know? Blah blah blah. Like what the heck? And then I like he has dementia. So from his point of view, he don't see it.
Exactly.
And how bad off and that's where all the arguing was in the beginning. And even still now, where I'm learning, because with them, you can't argue. That's all. Don't argue. Don't make them mad. I'm like, that's all they do is stay mad. How am I supposed to make an angry man mad, not mad when he stay angry? So
Fire needs something to burn.
So I be hiding out all the
Okay.
time. Then he come find me.
Yeah.
This is how I know it's God. Seriously. Also, all jokes aside. Because I'm like, I don't want to talk anymore. I want you to talk. I don't know what to say. But what God is doing is so serious. So God is like, just trust me, trust me, trust me. So with dementia patients, you cannot argue with them. Just tell them they're always right. So with everything. So the hardest for me is when my dad is accusing me of stealing. So when he's like, you took $300, I want to jump back and say, no, I didn't. But it's not going to matter with me telling him, no, I didn't. Because he's never going to understand it. And that's the part I struggle with. And it's tied to something bigger, which is going back wanting to be right. Because I know, now I don't believe he's going to, harm me anymore or anything like that. But now it is tied to, like, I want to be right. So to answer your question, yes, I am learning something. And it's really.
There is a God. My God. Look at him. Look at him.
Go ahead, Janine.
Okay. Number 2, don't let things fester.
Now, how long is that not letting it fester? Is
Overnight.
that like go to
Look,
sleep?
don't let it
Overnight.
fester.
Whatever that looks. Yeah.
You don't need a time stamp on it. Don't let it fester. This is not something like, oh, you got on my last nerves, but I'm going to wait until you do something else again so I can bring all this up. Don't let it fester.
Yeah.
Deal with it as soon as possible. Now, one of my requests with Gary was, don't call me on my way to work and tell me we need to talk tonight. We need to call off and meet up somewhere and talk.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know that one.
That's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
All day.
Don't tell me we need to talk. You could tell me when I get off work and then
Right.
say, let's talk. Don't.
This is the pet peeve for pastors right here. If
Right.
your spouse gets you upset or says something to you right before you're about to go and preach, it's one of the hardest. The Holy Ghost is left, he's gone, and you just going off your notes. Because that's the back of your mind. You stuttering, you don't know what to say. Like, you know what?
I gotta preach the whole sermon like you ain't there.
Pretty much. But Bishop Joe said something very powerful. He said,
He did.
whenever I have those moments, I would get in the pulpit. And when he was married, he would say, when I happen to have those moments, he would address it inadvertently over the pulpit, get it off his chest, and now he's able to move on. But that's one of the worst things that can happen, because the whole festering thing, it will fester to you. And then afterwards, after you say hello, goodbye, and
You ready to
people,
go?
Holy Ghost moved the whole 9 yards, you get in the car. Now, what did you say? That argument.
Yeah.
And in the park, Pastor Jose, in the parking lot, when people still seeing you,
Yeah, that's
and you
true.
arguing,
That's true.
and people knock on your window, hey baby, how you doing? Look at
Praise
you.
the Lord.
Praise the Lord. He moved, didn't he? He did. Roll up the window. Let me tell you something. In there. It's so hard. That festering part.
Okay.
And here's the other thing. I want to say one thing about festering.
Go ahead.
Festering allows it to grow. See,
I was
when you realize
about that.
anger is what goes on in your mind that creates the power of anger. For instance, tell me, have we all dealt with this? Something happened.
Yep.
Maybe a little something at work. You know, it kind of irked you a little bit, but it was like, what? Okay, what? And you kind of went on your day. But you really kept thinking about what they did or what they said to you.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you get in your car going home, you more upset than you was when it happened. By the time you get home, you live it. You on the phone telling everybody about. Can you believe they had nerve enough to say the next morning you are more upset than when it initially happened.
Yes, sir.
Because you let it fester. But here's one thing I need to give the women, or I would do my brothers an injustice. Yes, don't let it fester, but men process differently.
Yeah, we do.
How do y'all process?
Oftentimes, this is very important.
Yeah.
Women often process things verbally.
Yeah.
And with men, you need to understand that. I don't understand why she may not be nagging. She's processing.
Yeah.
She has to talk about it.
Yeah.
But women, you got to understand, when a man got a lot on his mind and he's really have a lot of stress and things going on, he may process it like this.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Why? He processed it. internally. And
He
you don't
watching the
think he
game.
don't care, he's not concerned because he ain't saying that. No, he processed differently. So what needs to happen to both parties, he needs to be able to tell her, she needs to be able to process and understand, babe, I know you don't feel like talking about it, but I need to talk about it or it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he needs to let you have your process. And then he needs to have the
Yes.
wisdom to say, you know what, babe, I know we need to talk about this, but I need some time to think on this before I'm ready to have this conversation.
Yeah, because
And
with
Jerry
men,
and I-
just FYI, with men, normally what we'll do is we'll play it in the theater of our mind. We'll buy the ticket. We'll sit there and pop the popcorn, entertain it for days or hours, whatever that looks like, until we're ready to literally, we have to let it process in our mind to make sure. That's why, and listen, this is a good tip for a lot of women who love to argue their
Yes.
points. Do not chase him down. Don't chase him down.
Oh, no.
Real talk. Don't chase him down. I know he's saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, but he'll put him on the back burner, and some words or choice things will come out of his mouth because you're pressing him.
Thank you.
Don't press him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. If
Don't
you
press
force him to talk
Yep.
before he's ready,
It's a wrap.
I.
So
Yeah, right.
Gary and I had we came to that understanding,
Yes, ma'am.
and I just said, look, I understand you need to go to the man cave in your mind. I understand that. My request is that you don't stay too long, brother, because let me tell you what I'm doing when you away in the man cave. I'm thinking about all the things, and it's just adding up.
That's
So
called
you
festering.
you can leave, but look, but not right. If you take that long to process, I need you to understand what happens to me while you gone processing. By the time you come back, got a laundry list because you've allowed time for me to think about all that stuff. So I said, I said, go away to the man cave if you have to. Just don't stay as long.
That's a good question.
Don't stay as long.
My thing is this. I get where you wait until he can talk. I understand that. This is another one of my problems. I'm with Janine. So we need to, what is hard for me, and I think a lot of women, is to just go on with life until he's ready to talk.
No, he give you a timetable. That's why I encouraged him to let her talk first. Let her get that out. That's what I'm saying. She needs to process. Don't deny her process. Let her process. Okay, you go. And I heard you.
Yeah.
I heard you. I need a little time. Can we pick this up tomorrow?
What's a fair time?
That's different. That's different.
It's all subjective. You
See,
can't.
this is where the problem
But
comes in.
that's
He come,
why- but
I
no,
need
but
a month.
You can't ask for me to answer that because, of course, it's a different thing if we talk about the future of our kid versus if we talking about me dumping the trash. It depends.
Right.
But I'm saying he needs to give us something. Hey, can we revisit this tomorrow night? Or woo, 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 woo. Like, because I know a woman needs something to hold on to. You can't leave it indefinite or you finna just catch hell. So he need to give us something.
Okay, next
Yes.
tip. Next tip.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Keep the lines of communication open.
What does that mean?
We talked about it. I think we can go on to the next one.
Yeah, this is what we just finished talking about.
Right,
That's
right.
Pretty
Don't bring up the past.
Oh yeah.
Now this
That's
is
why-
hard.
It's hard.
This is
I agree.
That's
It
why
is
y'all
hard.
need to talk about.
Hard.
Now, I'm a big believer. Y'all, this is what I always say. If whatever the issues are, tell me now. Don't let it build up, and then you come back. Well, see, 2 years ago, I'm not here. I don't care what happened 2 years ago. I'm a big believer. Just tell me whatever the issues are as they go.
It's hard when it's connected to the present.
Give
right.
me an example.
It's hard not to bring up the past because you're doing something that we've already talked about.
That's a
and
pattern.
We shouldn't be here, but we are because it hasn't been resolved. It's hard not to bring up the past.
Well, how do you?
We
not
shouldn't do it.
It's a pattern.
But that's what I'm saying. It's hard. That's why we're saying it's hard.
Well, you
I
how do you
agree. It's
resolve
not.
it then? How do you then resolve it?
Oftentimes, it wasn't ever resolved.
Right.
Right.
So a trigger will happen. So, for instance, which is very common, when infidelity happens between a married couple, or even dating, whatever,
Mhm.
and that thing has not been resolved, a trigger will happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good example. Well, no, I can't bring them up. When Colette and I pretty much would argue, certain things would pretty much come up, and we'll argue and so forth, and there would trigger things that would trigger for her from her past relationship,
Right.
and it'd be a word or something. And if I may be transparent, as I am light skinned, when I pretty much in the pulpit, you coming out of the pulpit, somebody wants to talk to you, a female, and they want to spend more time with you than they need to, and she's gorgeous. Okay, got it. And so what happens is I had to learn to put some restrictions up where we're not going to be talking, number one, by ourselves. My wife is going to be there. Somebody's going to be there. And if I see that pretty much that bothers her, I send someone else over or whatever, because it's not so much an insecurity. It's making sure that your relationship is tight, because something from the past may come up and trigger something if it hasn't been resolved. So the point I'm making is that she had to go on a huge fast. She had to go on a fast because her last relationship many years ago had some things that came up and it triggered her. And it was innocent on my part, but it triggered her. So she had to get that situation under control and get delivered from it.
Thank you. You just answered my question. I'm glad I did not jump. See, I'm listening. Listening. Because I was ready to jump. I am so glad. So I love me some Colette. That is all I'm saying. When it's an issue, when it's the other person, and you recognize that it's you, like she recognized that was some things she needed to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And she knew that is the issue that we find that people don't realize or recognize a lot of times, that it's not you, it's not the other person, it's you. Now I'm not saying that you don't, like what you did in a loving way, I need to take care of this, but in the meantime, while I'm doing these boundaries, whatever, and my wife is working on herself to get whatever together. And the same thing, like so that is so powerful, that is so poignant, because a lot of times we put off our stuff on other people when it's your issue. You got to deal with that.
Yeah, and men do it too. Don't trip. Men do it too.
No, I know. No, I'm just saying. I'm so glad you gave that whole scenario, because sometimes people will just stop it. Oh, go ahead, Pastor.
No, notice you're right, but notice also, in addition to that, Rick was also sensitive to that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying what a lot of times makes it a bigger problem is when somebody has zero sensitivity to what you're not healed from.
Yeah,
that makes it a bigger fight.
One of the biggest arguments, I'll be real quick, but this is a funny story. So we decided to go to the movie. Now, mind you, we saved the 5 folk, so we decided to go see Kings of Comedy. I didn't know pretty much all that was going to be in there, but we watched it. After the movie, we go to the restaurant next door. We're sitting there, and these 4 young ladies were at a table. I'm with Mrs. Arce. I'm married. They decide to flirt with me when I'm there at the table with Mrs. Arce.
Yeah, that's common.
Now I'm terrified because we're waiting on our takeout food because we're going to take it to go.
Did she go to the restroom or something?
No, sir. No, sir.
These women nowadays.
They were drunk. And so they decided to flirt. And I heard what she said. And I sat there, I was praying, please, I hope she didn't say it. So my wife sat there, hold on, what's she saying? I'm like, Father of the black baby Jesus, what do I do here? I said, okay, it's time to go. So I grabbed her. Pretty much I grabbed her. I said, it's time to go. Now watch this. We get the food, we get to the car, we sat in. She let into me like I did something wrong. It was a trigger. It was a trigger. And that was my first time experiencing that early on in my marriage. I'm like, yo, I just shut up. Listen, there were some words that were shared, not at me, but frustrated about the situation. And I sat there and I listened. I was pretty much listening to her.
Yeah, she wants you to custom girls. Like, I don't want none of y'all. Shut up.
Yeah. Who did he be?
I get it. Yes, and that's not necessarily nature.
And I sat there. We got to the house, and I sat there. I said, I'm sorry that happened, but we have to pretty much find out what we're going to do whenever it happens. Because men, they do it. They'll disrespect me and pretty much go to her and flirt, whatever. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. but it triggered her. And
Mm.
again, going back to the whole deliverance thing, that was early on. And the other incident came up later on. But the point I'm making, she had to get that situation under control in herself. And we all pretty much, listen, all of us have some triggers and some stuff.
Well,
Like, you just don't bring up.
hello.
Don't talk about my mama. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. Yeah, you just don't do that. This is some off limit stuff. But yeah, just to piggyback on what you're saying, Pastor. Yeah, there's some things you got to get it, under control, and don't bring up the past at all.
So that's what I was going to say. Should we bring up the past? No, we should not.
You're not.
Do we? Yes, we
Yes.
Yes, we.
do. Because it is difficult in certain
Mhm.
situations, but we're supposed to deal with it in the present.
Yeah.
So that we don't
And
have
that
to
ties
deal with
into
it.
the next tip.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do
All right,
one
my
more
bad.
tip, and then we may have to pick this up on another show.
Wow.
But wait, we skipped one.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it?
Stick to the issue.
Okay, I didn't put that on. Stick to the issue. All right.
Well, go back to what you put up. You've had a good one up there. Keep that one though. We coming
Okay.
back to him.
Okay.
Put
If you
yourself
All right, I got it.
Oh,
Never
there it
mind.
is.
Period.
There it
Stick
is.
to the issue. Do not use the argument to talk about every issue.
And then
Oh,
back
This
That's
is
very
called
good.
everything and the kitchen sink.
Yes.
You're right. Well, while we
that's called
talking, I
gaslighting.
never did like your
That's
mammy.
called
Right.
gaslighting. And I have to admit, a lot of
That
men
is
are really
gaslighting,
good. If you're good at the gift of gab,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of men, I ain't picking on men, but I
Yes,
find
you are. You always do. Quit lying.
talk
Stop lying.
about the issue. Don't
Right.
talk about, well, you did it too. That ain't
Right.
No,
what
that's
And
the issue.
acknowledge the fact that whatever the issue is can be a trigger for all the other things that are unresolved,
Burgeoning, yeah.
Yeah.
that are issues. Know that that's a natural response.
Yeah.
Anticipate that
Yeah.
so that you can work on sticking to the issue.
Let me open a hornet's nest.
Uh-oh.
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 Please.
Because no, this is something that I've been guilty of for
Okay.
more than one relationship.
Okay.
I've been guilty of doing this, where sometimes I tolerate some stuff that I don't like, because I acknowledge we're human
Okay.
and we're not perfect,
Got it.
and I don't expect you to be perfect.
Mhm.
So certain mistakes, I won't say anything about, not because I liked it, I'm okay with it, because it's not worth more to me than the moment we're in.
Yeah.
So I'll just let it slide.
Yeah. But it builds up.
But what? No, but this is what happens. This
Go
is
ahead.
what I'm guilty of. I let it go for the moment. Now I might be let by 3 go.
Was that fourth one?
And one, no.
Yeah.
I do something not even comparative.
Oh,
That
yeah.
hurt you just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you'll come out of the moment
Yeah.
to call me to the carpet on that.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm like, wait a minute. Well, since the moment's gone anyway,
Let's do this.
I didn't like. Well, why you didn't say that? Because it wasn't worth it to me. Then why you saying something now? Because we're gonna argue anyway. Like, I'm like, I wish you were as tolerable
Right.
as moi.
You see the world as we are, not as it is.
That's right. That's right.
Now,
But no, I'm not. Listen, let me say this for everybody to listen. Y'all, I ain't saying I'm right on that.
No, I hear you.
I'm not trying to justify myself.
here's where that becomes, dare I say, dangerous or
Yeah.
problematic, right? You have some issues in your relationship. Let's say you get married, those issues are still there. And then 10, 12 years down the road, all of a sudden, you want to talk about the things that you don't like,
That's wrong.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
here, that's so unfair
Unfair.
to your partner because your silence equals this is okay.
Yep.
right?
Completely.
Then
Completely.
all of a sudden, after a decade, your partner has to find out that what was normal and natural is not okay,
I ain't like none of it.
right?
Mhm.
You are not helping anybody
Sure.
by
Sure.
not saying anything if you truly
Right.
cannot let it go
Right.
indefinitely.
Right.
And this,
Speak that thing because it will come back to haunt you.
Yes,
That's
And there
true.
are folks that end up divorced
Yep.
because they never spoke their truth. And when they finally did,
girl.
it was like you're
Boy,
married to a
boy,
completely different person. What do you mean you
Completely.
don't like all of that?
You know what I call that? Deception.
Yep.
You done deceived me.
Yeah.
How can I please you when I don't even know you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, and this can also go into relationships with your family or whatever that looks like, where the issue, you don't stick to the issue. Finally, when you get to talk, and I have this, one of my brothers, we didn't talk for years because it was just, it was toxic. Now, I could have approached it differently. Yes.
Blood brother?
Blood brother.
Mhm.
And what happens is, let me rephrase that. We didn't talk about serious stuff for years. We just high and by, cordial, kept it pushing.
Right.
We tolerated each other. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But really talk and interact like we normally did as kids, that didn't happen. I had to pray, and I'm going to share this with you guys. I had to pray and ask the Lord. I said, Lord, fix me. Fix me. Not him, me. Fix me to be able to go to him and don't care whatever name you call me, whatever goes on, whatever the issue is, fix me so I can have this relationship with them. Now, when we got together, we brought up everything past, present, and maybe some future stuff. We sat there, we just argued, but we got it out. That was the key thing. We got it out. Now, was it healthy? No. But at least we heard each other. We heard each other's point of view.
Yeah.
And we were able to pretty much argue, yes, about everything, but we heard each other. And I think,
Right.
although this may happen, you don't want to be deceived in the relationship going forward. In other words, with all of this. Yeah.
Now, statistics prove that a couple that's fussing and fighting is in a better position. I didn't say a good position. In a better position than the couple that don't even talk no more.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier about alluding to men.
Yes.
You know, women, when that man stops talking, that's the problem.
Right.
That's when he's silenced.
Right, because as long as you're talking, there's always the possibility of reconciliation. We're communicating.
Yep.
That's good.
This is good, bro.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. We're gonna
And we didn't even finish all the tips.
So what I end up doing, Janine, to solve that, I just start regardless of the moment. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Because here's the thing. This is what I've learned. And I want all women to hear this loud. Everybody, men and everybody included. We do teach people how to treat us. By what we have tolerated. So I was taught to bring it up. See, that taught me to bring it up. Because otherwise I lose my leverage.
See?
If I wait till you done brought up this. I was gonna be a pre-sale lawyer. Either one.
I'm fighting to win.
Hey, Rick said that. I didn't say that. Rick said.
Yeah.
I do everything to win, baby.
Just don't be under the bus. Got it.
Win, baby. What was it? Oakland Raiders owner. Win, baby, win. Just win, baby. Al Davis.
Al Davis.
Ooh, y'all. Okay.
Wow. Man, this has been so good. We have some more tips. We're going to pick this up with a part 2. Any final thoughts from anybody? We'll start with you, Pastor Rick.
Argue for the glory of God.
How do you do that?
Ephesians chapter 5 speaks of pretty much us, the bride and the groom and so forth. Of course, Christ being the groom, us being the bride. And no matter what, keep in mind, relationships are not about individuals. It's about the couple. It's about the unity. And when you argue and you're having in the forefront that you don't want hurt to destroy, hurt the relationship, and you keep in the forefront that God is there, you'll learn to argue for the glory of God. You'll come together, have your major arguments, whatever. But by the end of the night, we're talking about not festering. You're making love at the end of the night, ladies and gentlemen. When you're married, when you're married.
Uh-oh. All right, Dr. Collins.
Okay, my closing arguments. I want to share some great advice that was given.
Closing arguments.
My closing argument.
He's on trial.
Great advice was given to me when I was engaged to my late wife. I was working at a new truck driving company local, and I was training with an older guy named Eddie Carter, and he was training me on this new job, and he knew I was engaged. He said, "Boy, about to get married, huh?" I said, "Yeah, Mr. Carter, I'm getting married." "Well, you probably think you the man, huh?" I went, yeah, Mr. Carter, I'm a man, man.
Right.
I think you wear the breeches. Yeah, I wear the pants in my house. Sure do. Breeches is country for pants. They say, you think you man. I said, "Boy, I'm gonna teach you something. You listen to me, I teach you something, you'll be married a long time. You don't listen, you ain't gonna be married no time." I said, "Okay, what this old man want to tell me?" He's an older deacon at his church, so I've humbled myself. "What is it?" Eddie Carter, he say, 3 words. I'm gonna teach you 3 words. "Oh, he gonna tell me to say I love you." I said, "What is it?" I want every man to hear this advice. I said, "What is it?" He says, "You're listening to me." I said, "Yeah, Mr. Carter, you listening." He said, "No, son, is you listening?" I said, "Yeah, I'm listening." "What are the 3 words?" He said, "Okay, baby." Well, actually, there's 2 words, but I ain't no yes man. I don't get out like that. I don't just go along to get along. That ain't me. He said, "No, son, see, you don't understand what I'm telling you." He said, "Most of the stuff your wife gonna be on your head about what color she want to paint the walls, where she want to put the drapes, where the couch go. That ain't got nothing to do with your marriage." "Okay, baby. Okay, baby." He said, "Because if you put your foot down on every little thing, when the time comes that you need to put your foot down, it won't make no noise no more."
Woo! Come on.
Good.
That's
He
good.
was teaching me to choose my battles wisely, because some fights aren't worth fighting, even if you win.
Good. Good stuff, Pastor.
That's good. That's good. All right, Janine.
Ooh, okay. So I think the most important thing is understanding that there is an art to arguing. There is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. I encourage people to establish boundaries, figure out what works for you, not in the heat of it, but when everything is okay, everybody's in a good place, prepare so that even when you get to that point, you know you're not going to hear the D word. You know that you're not going to be ducking glass and vases and all that kind of, like, you know, you've set up a bubble around you to protect you, knowing that that argument will be a moment in time, but there will be a tomorrow, and you will get back to where you were, and everything will be fine. So don't be afraid of it, but don't throw gas on the fire too. Fight fair.
Amen.
Fair fighting. Fair fighting.
Every fire needs something to burn. If you want the fire to go out, don't give it nothing to burn.
Hey. Well, all right, squad. We're so glad you guys would just have decided to join us. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our videos. And of course, we want to read your letters. We promise to be good. betterflies@gmail.com. Send them in, send them in, send them in. So until next time, remember, we're here every other Tuesday, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Better Flies YouTube channel. I'm going to see you there. Okay? All right, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
We out.